Well, hello, and welcome to Jimmyism Total Nerdy channel. Now, a lot of update has happened. How it is, how it works, you know. And apparently, you know, my beautiful old fast-firing cannon tutorial, which helped a lot of people, it seems like. It's very cool. Thanks for all the views if you did watch it and everything. And I hope you watch this too, because things have changed. And, well, unfortunately, we need to have ammo clips, but on the other hand, we have beautiful new parts that are real nice. And in this little video, I'm going to show you how you can make a beautiful, fast-firing cannon in from the depth now in autumn 2020. So, let's go. Well, we're ready to build. This facility is, of course, filled with AI detection, material, and some ammo boxes and everything like that. So we'll not bother with anything of that kind. We will do a simple standalone turret that we can spawn and use in the future. And I, myself, am also going to use the turret we make during this little video. Go to your sub-object tab. Now we'll need to select the correct size of this one. The larger the better, they're harder to kill, and if we're going to do a decently sized turret, which we are going to do today, we might as well select the 5x5 one. Right, so what do we need to add this one? Well, first we're just going to do a little quick determining and see how high we're going to make this turret. I feel that now we have a 5-block high turret, and I think we're going to do it like this. Whoops! 13. I mean, it's 13 block high. It's pretty high turret. And up top here, we're going to set our advanced firing piece. We're going to begin from like this session. So advanced cannons. Here we have the APS. I don't know. We have some new parts. You can probably see that, ooh, look, here we have, and these, by the way, are a beautiful little template on kind of the size we can make the turret of and the size of the outside, how big it can be. So we're actually going to use this, I believe, to kind of help us. So we're going to add this to... Yeah, all right. So we'll know we can use that, and that. And just hit F3, and we're going to... so this little thing is calculating how big our turret can be. These are prefabs that tell us, like here, the outside is the metal turret well, and the inside thing was the alloy, which is basically how big the turret can be. And that is, of course, like here, here, and here. So we can add blocks here, but we can't add them here and here, basically. That has to be free space. So we're going to jump back to our turret here, and we're just going to mark these areas with some stone for the time being to know that we can indeed place blocks around here. Nice. And we also, of course, want to have our turret controlled by AI. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into the AI tab, and we're actually going to place that down here. A local weapon controller right there with a failsafe and a wireless receiver. Here we go. And that's basically our little base here. And this will now control this turret, which is nice. So we're gonna switch back to competent building mode. And we are now going to go to the advanced cannons section and find a firing piece. I have now built this little weird shape to kind of understand how I want my firing piece located, and I want it right here. So the placement of the firing piece will a little bit decide kind of how large our turret will be. And of course we don't have to have the mantlet, the like most exposed part, and we shouldn't even have it like that, but you know. Oh, and to align it, just press G and you'll align it in the direction we'll want. You can have multiple firing pieces, but then you'll need to set up several kind of separate systems that can indeed share some things, but not everything. But it's a little bit more complex to build multi-advanced firing piece turrets than just single ones, especially when we want high rate of fire. And since this is a tutorial, which I'm going to show you how to do things, we're just going to have one of them, and that will be much better for everyone, including me. Because, well, I just don't want to mess with that. It's a lot of... It will be messy if you do that. Anyways, and it's anyways better for like slower turrets, in my opinion. So we have different types of mantlets, and since we're doing a fast fire turret, we're going to choose the AA mantlet because it's going to be a pretty useful application to have an AA mantlet. Press G to just align it, and we'll have the mantlet here. So now we can kind of see this is the width of the turret internally. And now we have kind of symmetry here, so we kind of know what kind of guidelines we have to move with. But of course, I don't want to, you know, have this middle pillar here. We're just going to remove it there. Actually, not apparently. We're gonna have that thing. Oh, beautiful. Something like this. Perfect. I'll just make this thing so I'll kind of see the symmetry of the turret a little bit more easily. You may do as you choose. Now anyways, we'll go into this thing. Now, for this build, we'll need mostly coolers. We might need one gauge increase perhaps, we'll see about it, but we'll need mostly coolers. And we have multiple cooler parts now, at least in beta, and this will come out if you don't play beta pretty soon anyways, if you're not already. So that's cooler corner, cooler 4-way, 5-way, everything like that. And it will be a lot easier now to set up this. However, what hasn't changed is that the only place where you can have the cooler going out from it is behind it. So we'll have the 5-way cooler here, so we'll have the most amount of options possible. And we'll see how many coolers we indeed do need, but we are going to, of course, build a couple of tubings to it. And that's just, you know, how you do go around like this and build them in those directions you'll like to. And it's a smart idea to build it in a way so that it's kind of okay if one of them or something blows up and it's still going to work. Kind of makes sense. Yep. So basically all these new parts means that we can do a lot more advanced snaking when we build our APS systems, as you can see here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect the core of the turret and put the ammunition and the ammo clips and everything deep inside the turret, because if they blow up, the whole thing goes up into the air. So we want them decently protected kind of deep inside this turret. Loaded ammo clips on APS systems can be very explosive, and when they blow up, the turret is usually gone. Just so you know. But of course you need to abide by the snaking rules, but it's a lot easier now when you actually can choose how to snake, instead of having, before we only had the cooling splitter and the cooler. And the splitters and the coolers and everything like that, both of them provide cooling now, so it's, you know, all parts are actually useful, which is nice. I'm going to set up a little cooling base here, and then we're gonna go on to, so I'm gonna do some of the snaking off recording, and we're going to go with the Outloaders then. All right, you can see we set up some cooling here, and of course you can connect them in all ways now. Like these can be connected in all directions they have outputs. You can see it here, it's kind of a straight tube here, which means you should utilize many connections so that if this breaks, for example, it will still work. Or if this breaks, they are still all connected up. You know, this and this have to break for this part to be like not connected. So you kind of want to use like that, and probably even better example like here, we really utilized many connections like this, and we now have many nice connections. Now these cost 50 materials per piece, and there is no way around it. Advanced cannons are expensive, and this cannon I'm building right now is going to be very expensive. It's just how it is. So yeah, if you didn't know, or if you didn't want to know, I'm sorry. So now we move on to Outloaders. And Outloaders, you have a lot of Outloaders here, but we're going to optimize for the maximum firing speed, which means that the belt-fed Outloader is the only option. Now just press G to align it. It only has one ammo output, kind of. You can see here we can only connect them in the top here. And all the sides except the ammo side is connectable, like that. So what's new though is that the connections of these are much more easy. Like these connect to each other, so we can even make something like this. And they are connected. They do need clips, however. So we do add kind of clips like this, of course, and you'll see that they're beautiful and working now. In any case, these clips here, you can actually see the shells here, but we want the dark clips because they kind of lag a little less. But what we're going to do is we're going to do like this. We're adding Outloaders like this, and we're going to have them like this. So here, like here, there, there, and here, we're actually going to put armor later on. Because if this blows up, we just lost so much resources, it's not even funny. Yeah, so we want at least one layer of metal armor inside this turret to kind of protect it against evil enemy shots. I think it kind of makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So, how many of these should we have? Well, the more you have, the more firing rate you can potentially have. We have a kind of high turret though, so in this case we're going to opt for 9, like this. And of course we're gonna have them in many layers. So just layer out up to the top with these ones, basically. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I just saw that somehow I selected the 1 meter autoloader without even realizing it. Make sure you select the belt-fed autoloader, which is very recognizable because it only has kind of 1 ammo output, just like that. It's very easy. It should be impossible to mix them up. But anyways, there you go. And we're going to fill up with not 1 layer in between, but actually, oh god, 2 layers in between them, just like this. And 2, just like that, so we can kind of fit everything and still be able to armor it properly. Now, what I did here, I did a little interesting thing here. I've added a turret neck. Yep. So basically what happens here is that here in the turret it will only be 3 by 3. That means we can provide a flush connection to the hull. On the hull then we can produce simple like 3 3, 3. Just a layer around this, 1 layer thick, that will make the turret completely flush to the ship, which will make it a little bit easier to kind of defend. And above this line we'll have no ammo box, no autoloaders or ammo clips, and we'll have them all below here, just to make it a little bit more sturdy. Right, so what do we do now? Well, we are going to add ammo on these main ones here. Ammo, 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 just like that. And when we have added the ammo, we are going to add intakes. And we'll need about 1 ammo input feeder per outloader. That should be completely symmetrical, but it will tell us if it's not. Like that. And you can have a ammo controller that kind of decides what kind of ammo we have on the turret, or we can have it on the ship we're using. In our case, we are going to have it on the turret. And that is because, well, then we'll not need to select it every time we spawn the turret, which is useful. It should be kind of saved here. We're going to add a small little thing right here in the bottom. I think we're going to have it just above this one. Controller, we'll see how large we'll make it later, but here we have it, an ammo controller. And we can just make a, temporary shot here. So we'll see what we use later, but we're gonna have a temporary shell that we can just have. We can change it later, of course. So we go into this one and we select this one and we select assign all and assign intake to this ammo source, or even force it if it doesn't work, just like that. All right, now we can go to our cannon here and we can see some stats. Rate of fire, 1000 RPM, cooling limit is higher than the autoloader or ammo intake. By the way, you can make the ammo clips longer than this, but the con with using belt-fed autoloaders is that they have to have empty clips before they reload. And if we have longer clips, we might want to have more ammo intakes to make them load faster or fill up the clips faster. But when we have this, we'll have a high. This just throws out the shell very fast, and we can also kind of reload pretty fast, which indeed is pretty useful. Right. What we will do, I'm going to add the snake here so we can kind of go down on this area as well, and we're going to see where we can add some more ammo clips to make it all nice. And here we are. I've copied this place to the other side basically, so we have a, if one side gets damaged, it might still work. And I've also increased the belt-fed autoloaders, ammo and ammo intakes there and there, and we'll have a little ammo intake hidden in here. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? It is. So yeah, if you want to load it up faster, you can of course build a design which has more like ammo intakes. Could be useful, but not for this design. I feel that 1 per ammo clip works pretty well actually. Now the turret neck is a place that easily can kind of, get damaged. Even though you might not want to armor your entire turret with heavy armor, I would highly recommend you'll have at least some bars of heavy armor inside the turret neck. Because if this goes off, it's, very bad. Very, very bad. And if you look at these ones, they have some health and some armor, but it's not really much. The firing piece does have something, but these cooling vents can get damaged pretty easily. Oh, and if you have serious troubles with recoils, and if you have a fast fire turret, you can of course add some recoil absorbers. We'll see if we'll need to add it later, but I don't think so. Well, then we just place them on. It's no big deal. So we go to this one here, and we can now see about it. We'll have a rate of fire of 18,000 RPM. We have more cooling than we actually need, and that's beautiful. We don't have any gauge increasers, and those we add lastly, because it depends a lot on how big shots you want, how many barrels you want, how the cooling is kind of matched up. So we'll wait a little bit with that. Anyways, we're just going to remove this here because we don't need it anymore, and we can now go and add a barrel. So we only have one barrel, and it's total catastrophe if it kind of breaks off. So we're going to have a heavy barrel for this one, of course. We can increase the accuracy, can be good. If it turns very slow, we can decrease the accuracy, so otherwise it might not be able to even shoot at the enemies if the enemies are moving too quickly and the turret is too slow. But you know, if they're kind of flying around trying to evade shots and all that. But generally, I feel like higher accuracy seems to be working better in most cases. All right, so how about the barrels? Well, we can have as many or as few barrels as we want, but if we have smaller barrels, we'll also have smaller caliber. If we want to have smaller barrels with this caliber, we're just going to go up here. We'll actually need to set some settings here. But first I can explain the benefits or like why you might want to have bigger barrels or not. And this is because if you have larger barrels, what am I even talking about? Let me start over. If you want to have multiple barrels on one turret or not, the reason why you want to have multiple barrels is if you want a cooling bonus. If you go in here, you can see that the multi-barrel cooling has a multi-barrel 2x cooling time multiplier. So our cooling is now 22,000 instead of if we go and have like one barrel, it's kind of matched up. So if you want less coolers, you can compensate with having more barrels. But it's not all good to have like more barrels. It also makes it so it's less inaccurate, a little less inaccurate if you have more barrels. But let's say that we will want to make this cannon have like 60mm shells like it had before, but still have 6 barrels. Well, then we need to add gauge increasers. Anyways, we're just going to try it out. You can hear the extreme kind of speed of this thing. It's pretty insane. But let us go back to this thing. We want to have multiple barrels, we pretend. So we're going to add gauge increasers. 50 to 71. We'll have to have one more. We'll just go in here and we're going to select this to be 60 like it was before. And now it will be locked in 60. And it doesn't matter, we can change like to less barrels, 1 barrel, and you know, it's set up to 60 and we can match it. So the more barrels you have, the more gauge increasers you need to maintain that particular shell size or gauge of the barrels. So anyways, now we have this engaged as before, but I don't know, this might be weird to you or something, but the more barrels doesn't mean higher rate of fire anymore. It used to be that way, but it was a long time ago it was that way. And now you can have 1 barrel or 6 barrel with the same. So we're just gonna see if this will ever reload, and it does reload. Yep, so we can see. Pretty powerful, it feels like. Of course we're gonna try it later, but I just wanna drive home the point here and go here and just select 1 barrel. You can make him spin if you want to, and you can have them spaced or non-spaced if you kind of want to. But we're just gonna have 1 barrel. So we'll go with that. Oh, let's set up an idle angle so it looks a little bit cooler. Nice. Right. This means if we want to have a 60mm, we can remove these gauge increasers now, if we like to. Here we can see we are indeed shooting pretty quickly. Very nice. Oh, whenever you add new ammo intakes, when you're done with adding ammo intakes, just goes to an ammo intake, select the controller you want and just force assign everything or assign everything and it will work. Just so you know. Okay, so we kind of finished the main part, and we have a really high rate of fire turret. However, I kind of feel like it has high rate of fire, yes, but we also want some more heavy hitting shells. So we are going to add 1 gauge increaser here, and we're just gonna have them at the end of this thing. 1 here. Oh, let's just do like this. Let's have 3 of them like this. And we can go out to the turret and we'll see how big we can make it now. Oh, lords. Oh, that's... for a single barrel design, that's just a lot too much. Okay, 100... Oh, damn it. Yeah, I think we'll suffice with 1, actually. Let's have a gauge increaser here, like there. All right, now we have 120mm, which is twice the size. You'll need very few of them. But remember, like, if you actually lose this gauge increaser, well, you'll have some issues because it will be tiny shots and it won't work very well anymore. Okay, so let's see if we're loading. It says that the shell isn't compatible. Oh, I will run out of materials. What else? Yeah, well, it's loading just slowly. Meanwhile, let us just do like this. You see this ammo clip? We'll change one of the ammo clips with this kind of ammo clip, which is the transparent one. And if we have one of them like this, we can kind of see how much it's, if it's full or not. Pretty nice. And by the way, if you want to add more of these, you'll have to add them to the ends like this. Right, you can see this one in particular will load faster than the other ones now, because it has, you know, 2 of these. Pretty useful. All right, now it's just filled up here. You can see everything is full, and we can now use this thing. So what is left to do? Well, the thing that's left to do, this is a very formidable autocannon, by the way. The thing that's left to do, if we have decided everything like this, we can kind of look into the ammunition we want to have. And we're also going to add a layer of armor to this thing, and we're also going to... what am I thinking? Well, we're going to add a layer of armor, as well as trimming this side off a little bit so we can kind of match the cooling limit. Oh lords, look. Now the cooling is actually the what is it? Flaskhals? Bottleneck. It's the bottleneck of this design now, as you can see here. It changes a little when you kind of change the gauge and stuff like that. So now we know that anyways. But of course the shell we have isn't very optimal, but we are going to kind of try it out anyways. So let us avatar go a little bit closer here, and we can kind of aim on this thing. You can kind of see here. So it's a kind of EMP explosive shell. It looks like it's doing a lot of damage, but it's not like the optimal shell. And by the way, shell length also matters a little bit for firing speed, I believe. We're going to check into this a little bit more. Now we have a decently sized shell, but we can try and see if we kind of make it smaller, how it will affect it. Well, we can quickly eat away a Marauder, that's for sure. I don't dare to imagine the cost of this thing though. What we are going to do though, is I turned off the platform momentarily, just because it started shooting. You know, here, let me just have some blocks to show it to you. Like here, here, and like here. We can have metal blocks. So I'm going to coat this thing in armor, in simple metal armor. So it will be have some internal armor kind of, because this turret is expensive as hell. You'll probably know that. And I'm going to shape it a little bit, add coolers around and make a nice shape of it. And then we're going to go through, look to ammo types, try shorter shells and experiment a little bit with the barrels. So, you'll see me in a second. And here we have a beautiful shape of the turret. I just wanted to show you kind of this little intersection here. We follow the kind of general outline of the armor below. You'll see kind of here we'll have a little weak spot where we have the wireless receiver and the APS custom thing. But to be honest, if you're really concerned, you can actually remove these and have them on the ship, and then you can have the AI just below the turret or beside the turret block as well, in a more protected area. But I'll keep it like this because, you know, if we'll see a large explosion down here, we're probably wasted anyway, so I think it's fine. Now, this is a very expensive turret, so I'm going to coat this with heavy armor. Heavy armor is very heavy as lead, if you haven't noticed that. So it's real heavy. I'll have only one layer of heavy armor, and I'm going to put another layer of metal outside it. I just wanted to show you that it's actually heavy armor inside, and these will give armor boosting values to the metal we put outside of it. And if you want to know more about that, please check out my armor tutorial, which is still valid. Yes. All right. Do you like this shape of the turret? I like it. So we have pretty thick walls like this, and I've also added this little thing here, which is a mimic block. So this is not the original AA thing. This is a mimic block with like lots of settings to make it kind of look like it's the real one. The real one is like inside here and doesn't look as cool. So I just added this as a mimic on top. And on top of this thing we have some ERA armor. So they can kind of regenerate and stop a few shots, and we'll have regular armor on the other sides. You can see I have increased the length of the barrel. And you can see here we have inaccuracy 13%, and I can remove some there. And now the inaccuracy is 0.13 degrees. Now it's 0.22 degrees. So barrel length help us a lot with that. So it will have more accurate shots if they're longer. We have heavy barrels and we also have regular barrels. The barrels are heavy, but the heavy barrels are more heavy. So, you know, they also cost a lot more, but it's totally worth it. Even though the last piece is a regular barrel, more for aesthetical reasons, but also a little bit weight. Alright, so I've loaded this with a new shell. I've set up armor-piercing solid warhead, and I thought we should just test this out, basically. On this target here. I spawned my ship here, and we are actively repairing it. We can see they are jumping off, but you can see, like, this is a decently, let me just turn off self-repair. Wait. Alright, like that. But it's like a heavy hitting shot indeed. We can just eat through things, and we're going to test some different ammunition types. As I told you, we're going to set up some shorter shells and see if it even affects the firing rate, because I remember it did, I believe. But things change, so you'll have to kind of test things as you go. Since, yeah, you know, sometimes it just changes a lot. The ship is self-generating. It has a lot of things that's repairing itself, so if you're wondering why it's kind of being put together so quickly as well. Yeah, it has an insane amount of repair bots. It's a good dummy practice target, the Emir. Yeah. Anyways, what we're going to do is we are going to build on this thing. We're gonna remove that part so we have a shorter shell, and we're gonna have this this tiny little shell here. First, we're just gonna see what type of. All right, 800 and rate of fire. Well, let's just revert that change here so we can kind of see. 481 is the current one. Now we can select a new little thing. Let's make a small high explosive shell. There we go. A small high explosive shell. And as we have this ammo controller, we're just changing it. You can see this changed here. We are going to, let me show you the little block here that does tell us the ammo. You can see the ammo is kind of mixed now, which is not very nice. So we're going to clear the clips, just so we can remove this while we work on it. You can see it reloading. We can then check some values. There we go. No. Like this. Oh, see there, autoloader limit. 749 ammo intake. Yep, this is still the case. The configuration and size of the shell is still highly relevant on firing speed. It's probably even written down here somewhere. Recoil, reload time. Yep, barrel length, cool. Here we have some stats too, dependent on how much gunpowder you have, you'll need a longer barrel to actually use up all that gunpowder. Yeah, barrel length increases the... oh, we'll need to change this to the current value, of course. Drag this thing to where you're actually at. Otherwise, this... this doesn't matter too much, you know. You'll have to drag it there manually. And that's so that you can kind of compare different types of gauges, if you would change it, kind of. So you can kind of, yeah. Makes sense. All right, we are loaded and clear. Well, that's a lot faster. Well, we can't see anything from all because of all of the explosions, but you can see that they do less damage to individual blocks, but blocks are flying all over the place. Yeah, this probably, yeah. And of course, the shell is kind of half the size of the previous shell, so you'll kind of have to look at damage per minute. And we can give some good firepower to this thing. Like, we'll just go into it. Let's see here. We might actually not damage it quick enough to penetrate it, but so we only have one clip per outloader, but you can see that we can sustain a decent amount of fire stream, and we'll still have some left. But if you want longer burst and also longer reloading, you can add more ammo clips, of course. But I've opted for speed of fire here. Yeah. So what type of shell do you want to have, and how large should it be? Well, that's a really good question. Don't make it larger until it won't even work anymore. It will tell you if it can't even use it. It's pretty nice. Let us make one shell. I'm going to, just for this little tutorial here, let's just make one shell that is really useful. And I think the Frag Shell is one of my favorite ones. So we're going to have a Frag Shell like that, and pretty quick Frag Shell too. Oh, and if you want even more accuracy, there you can select stabilizer fin body. It will make it a little bit slower, but it will make it more accurate. So we're gonna throw one of those on top of it and basically test it out. On the frag ones, you can do something like this. Elevation offset degrees, -90, and narrow it down a little bit. And you can do it for several of these. Oh no, I accidentally selected. Let me have a frag overhead body, thank you. And then you can kind of make it rain down onto the enemy when you hit them with some frag shells. So we're going to make it do a little bit like that. And I actually think we are going to mix in high explosives to this one. HE warhead. Cool. I think we'll have an interesting mixer, and we'll see how it works. We're just going to go up here. We're going to go into this and clear the clips. Yep. Oh, here we have stats for it as well. Material cost, and oh, yep, that's what it costs. They are expensive indeed. Cool. Now we will just gonna let it load, and we'll be back. Oh, and we have a larger shell now, so you can see that the outloader is indeed not as fast as the previous shell, of course not. Well, we did paint it in the meanwhile, and if you want an easier way to paint, just use your avatar kind of free-flowing mode, and you'll just use the paint tool and drag it into your bar here, and then you just right-click, and you can kind of select a nice color, and you can just easily paint. Very handy if you didn't know that. Anyways, the time has come to test out our new shell against the dummy target. Ooh. Oh no. If you have an enemy, of course it's a little bit easier to aim this thing, but yeah, now we have it here. Well, looks pretty nice. We just can get now we get a nice angle. Good. Yep. You can see it's quite efficiently eating through the shell like this. Looks nice to me. I believe that if we look at the cannon, you can see we are starting to get more inaccurate as we go. And I believe this has something to do with, yeah, now you can see 0. Yeah. As we shoot, when we shoot for a little while, we'll get a little less accurate due to recoil. What we can do against this, if we find this to be a huge problem, is of course to add recoil absorbers. So for this type of cannon, we could add like just a few small recoil absorbers. Of course we can't like actually have them there on this design, but we'll need to incorporate into the design if we would like to use them. But when we shoot like this, we can see here when we go to the menu, or just hover over it, that we have much more recoil that we can kind of absorb. Let's see if we can get a reading while we're shooting. Absorption, here we go. Not sure if this is even enough to keep the numbers at bay, but that's how to keep the numbers at bay, to help the absorption a little bit of the recoil. Well, I believe that's everything there is to say, basically. You can have surge protectors on top of the turret to kind of draw them away from going down and hurt the turret inside, but I have heavy armor here instead that will take the EMP damage. So that's one thing, I suppose, but other than that, you should be perfectly capable of building your own very nice high firing turret here. And now you can see it kind of fires in burst, and that is because some of the Outloaders are reloading and some are not. So that's why. But anyways, oh no. That's unfortunate. Well, we're just gonna turn off this Marauder, thank you, until we do something stupid. Yeah, well, anyways, I hope that this has been helpful to you, and have fun with your high fire rate turrets, if indeed. Now, this is not the best against soft targets, of course, and but when we get up to fire rate, we should be able to take it out completely. Anyways, if this video helped you, then you should indeed leave a like. And I'll see you in future videos. And you can also suggest some videos that you would like me to make. Other than that, I'm just going to save this turret so I can use it in the future. And well, like this. Here we have a nice view of it. Well, have fun. Ask me if anything in the comments, and suggest any other videos, and we'll be back. This is your host, Untitled Chapter channel, thanking you for watching, or signing out. Bye.